Hello everyone. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how you can create this sofa that you can see in Clara.io step by step from the beginning. What I'm going to do, I'm going to use a picture of a sofa and drag and drop it into the browser. I'm going to use this as a reference. So as soon as downloading and uploading is finished, you can see the texture here. I'm going to create a plane. I'm going to rotate it 90 degree around Z axis, around X axis, and based on the size of the texture, I'm gonna make the size 9 to 3.7. So it looks like our picture of sofa. And then I create a material, select material library, right click, create material, and from here, from diffuse map, choose the texture and select the mesh, go down, and from material, select your material. Now you have your sofa picture here. I'm going to move it back so I have enough space to do the modeling. At this time, I don't need this to be visible in the viewport or selectable in the viewport because it's going to interfere my work. So I'm going to go down. In the properties of the mesh, you have selectables, so you cannot select these objects anymore if you click on that checkbox, unless you go to the Explorer and select your plane, so you can see that highlighted in the viewport. So make sure to uncheck this one or check this one whenever you need. I'm gonna start with a cube, and I'm gonna go to front viewport. I'm gonna move this to the center of this region that I want. I'm gonna increase the size so it can cover the entire section, and I'm gonna add a few segments. As you can see, you're not seeing segments sometimes based on the viewport that you're working on. So by default, show edges is off. So if you don't see any edges, click here and you can display and hide extra edges of the mesh. So I'm gonna go from top. I don't need that many segments from the depth, so I'm gonna make it 2 and shrink the size. Let's see from this view. It looks fine. Just a bit more. What I need to do, I'm gonna go to the edge mode. I'm gonna select these edges. By pressing Alt key, I can deselect these edges and only highlight these edges that I want. If I go to the viewport, you can see I selected rings of loops of edges. The other way that you can use, you can just select this one and select loop, so you can select all the loops. The second method is double clicking on each of these edges. Do a slow double click, is going to work as loop selections, and if you hold down shift and click somewhere, double click somewhere on the edge, you're going to select this as a ring. So I'm going to use this method again. I'm going to double click. I'm going to hold down Control key and double click again here. So I'm going to add 2 rings together. This is the second method that I usually prefer. I'm going to go to the scale and scale this along the X. Note that here the center is selection center, or you can make it pivot, but we need center selection because we want to make them get closer to each other in this direction. If I go to the front mode, I can't see exactly what is going on as my template is this picture. So I'm gonna go and add a specific material here. I'm gonna change the material name to opacity. If you go down, here you have opacity factor. This one shows you how much you want to show the transparency of your objects. So in order to see, I'm going to select this mesh, go down, and select this material opacity for this mesh. Now I can go back to my material by clicking this arrow here. I go here and match the value that I'm looking for. I add this color. I change this color to be something like orange so I can easily distinguish, or yellow maybe. I'm going to use orange. I'm going to go here. And I think 0.7 should be enough. Alright. Now I need more edges around the corners, so I'm going to go to the edge mode. I'm going to select edge, and I'm going to select all these edges along this side. And I'm going to also hold down Control key and select these edges as well. Let me disable the picture so we can see what's going on better in the viewport. I'm going to select my plane, right click here and hide selection. So this way you can see better what's how we're doing and what we're selecting. So I'm going to select these edges. First I have to go to the edge mode. I'm going to select these edges. I'm going to select these edges. Now I'm going to go to edge mode and click on connect. So I added more edges. I'm going to select these edges by double clicking on the current edge. I'm going to select the loops and move this to corner. Also I'm going to do the same. You can also select this one and select from loop here, so it's the same, double clicking or selecting one edge and then clicking on select loop. So now I'm going to select this and this side. So at the same time, as you can see, I'm going to go to the scale mode, and on Y, I'm going to just squeeze it a bit. I'm going to squeeze this way. So I need one more set of edge here. And select, connect, go to the vertices mode, select this, and move it to the left. I need this to be in the center. Let me right click and show all so I can see if I'm doing correctly. Let's go to the material, make opacity a bit smaller so I can better see how I can manipulate. Yes, this must be in the center, and this here. So we need two more sets of edges. Select here and connect. If you select this edge and if you go to select mode and double click here, control down, double click here, you don't have to select vertices. You just have to hold down control or shift and switch mode. You're going to convert your selection to the other mode. So if I hold down control and go to the face, I can select this one, and our system will remember what was the last selection-ish mode. I'm going to go and again use the scale and bring it up. So I'm going to go to the vertex, go to the move, deselect this, and move this up so they're going to match as we prefer. So still we need to work on this a bit. I need to move this. It looks fine. We need to make these holes. So in order to make these holes, first we need to push all these edges. So I'm going to select all these vertices, and I'm going to select all these first let me select these vertices and scale them a bit. So they're going to have this curve here. We need those curves there. So I'm going to select it like this, and I'm going to move this like this from here. I'm going to move this, and I'm going to select all these vertices. Just going to make sure that I selected this correctly. The number of vertices are here, 18, so it should be correct. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So and 8. You should know that we're also selecting the vertices in the back. So I'm gonna go here and go scale, squeeze it in. Let me go again to the material, change transparency a bit higher so we can see better what's going on. I'm gonna go to the edge mode because it's easier to select. I'm gonna select a loop and hold down again, go to the vertex mode. So I select this. This is very easier than selecting one by one. So what we need to do here is just squeezing them along the side, and almost that's what we need. Only these edges need extra pushing. Do that here. I'm gonna also push this one a bit too. So they're gonna have this curve. I'm gonna go to opacity mode and make it completely 1. So I can easily see faces. What I need to select these 3 faces, these 4 faces, and I don't need to work on the back because back is enough. I want to make the hole in the center like what you see in the picture. So I selected the faces. I go to the extrude or bevel. I prefer bevel here because we can add 2 steps. I need a very small offsets so it's not going to squeeze the entire mesh. I guess in this case extrude is going to work better for us. I'm going to extrude because I can control extrude better with zooming. So I just squeeze it once. Let me first add one insert. So insert is going to make an extrude which is without any height. So the next step is using extrude. I need to squeeze it into the object, and I just need to scale. I need a uniform scale, so I can select this sphere. As you can see, if you select this sphere and move it, then you're gonna have uniform scaling. I'm gonna move this a bit forward. You have the stack of all your changes here. Whenever you need to change something, you can still go back and change, as long as you know that you're not going to change topology of your mesh that influence the rest of the selection. I'm going to select this one, So 4 out of 162, so I know that it's working correctly. I'm going to use zoom, I'm going to use a scale again, and a bit of scaling here. Oh, it seems I selected the wrong vertex here, so I'm going to undo, undo, and undo one more time. So let's repeat the same operation again. I'm going to select this one and do this uniform scaling one more time. And go to the move mode. I need to squeeze these two so they can be a bit farther. I think that should be good enough. If I click 3, you can see what's going on here. So you can go to different shading mode from this menu too, and the shortcuts are also written here. So I'm going to apply one mesh smooth. You can go to the object mode and apply mesh smooth, or you can go to the polymesh operator and type what you want, so like mesh smooth, and then you can change subdivisions. Mesh smooth makes your object to look more beautiful with adding more edges. I'm going to go to realistic mode. The whole looks almost fine. So at this time, what I need to do, I remove this one. I want to select these faces inside. There is another way, easier to select all the faces. I'm going to select these vertex, which is in the middle of this hole, and I'm going to use holding down control and go to the face mode so you can select this one, and then you have grow and shrink. So grow, you're going to select one level. So I selected all these faces that I wanted without too much trouble and selecting everything one by one. So I have this one. I'm gonna scale it a bit because I don't want to have a shape that is a bit too far from the surface of the sofa. So let's try one more time mesh smooth and see how does it look like. Number 2 should be enough. Be careful that don't use a very high numbers because your number of edges are a bit expensive and it's going to cause some memory issues for you. So I'm going to use number 4. Now it looks almost beautiful. Unless we want to have more smooth shape, I just have to select these edges at the top and bottom. So I'm going to go to left mode. It's a bit difficult choosing from left mode because of the curving. So I'm going to go here and select this and select loop. The same way here, I'm going to hold down control and double click. Again, hold down control, double click. I'm going to hold down again, control and double click here. As you can see, I selected all these edges. I don't need these edges in the center, so I'm going to deselect this. I'm going to make sure I select the correct edges. Yes. And zooming. So this one is going to give me a very smooth shape around the corner. So I'm going to apply mesh smooth. Very beautiful. The same way that I was expecting. Maybe just a bit less than that. Just bring it back. Yes, that's fine. Okay, at this point, we don't have to do the same thing over and over. We just have to go to symmetry mode click, and you see the plane, which if you go to the move mode, you can easily move this section, and along the plane you're gonna have slice. Look at the mesh, you're gonna have a slice. So it's gonna cut and attach two together. So that's what I need. Let's see if it is what we want. It's almost the same. I'm gonna bring it here. I'm not gonna use the weld here. I'm gonna use the manual weld. Since it's gonna cause problem, I'm gonna use this like this. And if you select here, you're gonna deselect the gizmo. If you click here, you're gonna select the gizmo. So I'm gonna deselect this. I'm gonna go to the edge mode. Let's weld here, so you don't have to manually weld these vertices because they are separate like that. I'm gonna show you one. You see, this vertex is gonna cause a hole inside this mesh because they are not welded together. I'm gonna deselect this. I'm gonna click here on this button you see, and the checkbox you see, weld. Automatically all these vertices are gonna get weld based on the threshold, because this threshold, which is in the symmetry, is 0.1, is enough for very close points. So I'm gonna go to the front mode again. You see there is a bit distance here. I'm gonna select the entire mesh, move this a bit. I'm gonna select entire vertices on this side and move this here. We have beautiful shape. I'm gonna move this again a bit here so I can cut here along this line. I'm going to use another symmetry and move this so I can have this section covered. I want to remove this hole. As you can see here, this hole is causing some issues, so I'm going to remove this by using this slice option, which is on. I'm going to go to this view. Don't worry about this part because I want to remove this bar, this hole here. I had to use this one. I disable gizmo. I select all the faces, or you can select all the edges, and like this, deselect this region. I'm gonna move this. Sorry, I forgot to weld. So one of the features you seen, I moved this to here. I forgot that I didn't use weld. I can easily go back and weld, because this operator stack is one of the nicest features that Clara is offering. So let me see where I was. Okay, here. I just need to move this part to come here in the middle. Maybe I need to move it a bit more. I select all these vertices. I'm going to show you what faces. I just switched to face mode by holding down Control key, so now you can see better what's going on. I need to say deselect this one and move this. And that's it. Let's add mesh smooth. Level 2. This is something that almost we wanted. It's not exactly the same as this shape because I'm limited in time. Right now it's been a long time, so I just want to make sure that we can show as much as we can in this short time. I'm gonna deselect this because I don't want to have huge mesh smooth on the mesh to make this slow. I'm gonna click here, right click and clone. Now you have a clone. You go to the transform, rotation along X direction, 90 degree. So we need the other side, so I use -90. So I move this to be here. Let me see how big is this one. So it's almost the same. I'm going to use this like this, and I need a few more here. So what we can do is use another symmetry, move this along X. I don't think we need that much, so I can use it like this here. It's a perfect symmetry at this time. Now what we need to just move the vertices at this side. I'm gonna go to the vertex mode. I'm gonna move them all. Let me make this bigger. I'm gonna select all of these vertices. I need to deselect this, and I need to deselect this. Plus, I need to make sure that I'm not selecting any of the holes vertices. You see, the vertices of the holes are clearly, when I went to edge mode, it's visible. So I have to deselect these. Deselect all of them by using Alt key. These and these two. Now I move them down. Now let's deselect these edges, these vertices. Now move this one down. I think I did too much here. I should have left this off here, so we're gonna have a better shape. Otherwise it's gonna be like a sphere. So I'm gonna select all these edges. As I said, you can easily, because you don't want to select those holes, just select one of them and select ring. So you're gonna have ring of edges. It stopped here. So it's telling me that there is something wrong with the vertices here. It seems I forgot to use weld. I'm gonna go back here. So that's one of the nicest features. I can go back to all my previous operations and weld it. So it's not gonna work because the topology is gonna change and my transforms are gonna change it. So the topology here is important, but we can easily fix this. We go to the vertex mode. Let's see if these vertices are the ones that are causing the issue. Yes, these vertices. You see the hole is in this side. The same way as the weld in the symmetry, I'm going to select all this and weld. So we need a threshold of very, very small. You see these two were got destroyed and joined together because my threshold was too high. So I'm going to use 0.01, and then I can make sure that very, very close faces are welded together. You want to make sure that it's done. Again, use the same method that I showed. Yes, it's done. And we don't need these extra edges in the middle because none of them has this feature. So we have to select vertices, select all these vertices. I'm going to use, I'm going to select these vertices. I'm going to go to the edge mode. I'm going to deselect these edges. And I'm going to remove edges instead of vertices because when you use remove edge, you're going to keep the topology, but your vertices stay the same. And now I can easily remove these vertices by clicking on remove. So this is how I clean my mesh. I'm gonna go hide edges. So like this. Let's try measure smooth. Number 2. I deselect this one. Go. See the perfect shape as we wanted. So I'm just gonna disable this measure smooth. The next step, I'm gonna remove this so I can add this. The next step is adding these 3 sections. As you can see, it's getting slower and slower because we have too many stacks here. I'm gonna collapse this. If you don't collapse this, your operation is gonna get slower and slower and slower until it takes a long time. So now I know that when I move something, it's gonna be so fast. So I'm gonna put it here and perform symmetry again. Flip. See how symmetry is now faster? I need to cut this because it's not what we want. 35°, exactly the same as picture. You see, they accurately 35°. Gonna select all these faces. I'm gonna select this one too. I'm gonna make sure nothing else is selected. Click delete. I need to delete this one as well. Go to the edge mode. Select this edge here. Loop. And click delete. Now you have a hole here. You just need to fix this hole. I'm gonna first remove these 2 faces as well because we don't need them anymore. I'm gonna remove these 2. I also need to remove these 2. Use grow. So I selected this. Delete. I'm gonna weld these 4 vertices. Use the threshold if you need to. Move it up. We don't need these 2 extra edges. They're gonna make the shape to look like not as smooth as we want. So you just select these 2 and click on remove. In order to make it faster, because we have lots of build and symmetry again here, I'm gonna collapse this one more time. It's gonna take a few seconds because you have to send data to the server. So now you need to fill this hole. Just select this edge, loop. Now you have a loop of borders, or you can select select border with ID of 0 because this is the only border that you can see. And click on fill borders. Now you have this selection. But as you can see, this is not a perfect polygon because we need to have a smooth connection. So I'm gonna select these 2 vertices. I'm deselecting this one. So only 2. Make sure 2 out of any number of vertices you have. I connect. Again, these 2. I deselect this. Connect. If you want to make sure that you're not selecting the vertices behind like this, when I select, you see 3 vertices are selected. You can click here, ignore back facing, and when you select like this, only 2 vertices, the back face, which is this one, is going to get ignored, and then it's going to make the work even easier. Again, connect, and these 2 as well, these 2. I'll repeat this one more time. I'm going to repeat this here. I'm going to go to the face mode so I can zoom in, otherwise it's a bit hard to choose. Connect and connect. Now we're going to have a beautiful shape and topology. Let's apply mesh smooths. Perfect shape. Okay, what does it mean? It means we forgot welding. So I'm going to disable this mesh smooth. I'm going to go to vertex mode. From front view, I'm going to select this, press F, zoom in, select, select. So I just selected all the vertices, 16. Go around this. I didn't select these vertices, that's why I'm going to perspective. Oh, because I enabled the ignore back facing. So I just disabled this one. That was the reason it caused not perfect selection when I used the region selection. So I'm going to select one more time. 16 became 26. Now make sure everything is as you wanted and nothing incorrect is selected. Here everything is selected. Correct. Now I click on weld. 0.01 is enough based on the experience that we had with the same mesh, and the distance, because 0.01 means the distance in our unit, which is enough. Again, I apply mesh smooth. Number 2, 5. The region is smooth. So we did what we want. Before mesh smooth, I'm gonna click here. I'm gonna collapse my mesh again, because lots of operations here. We're gonna get rid of all of them, and I'm gonna collapse this as well. Now I'm gonna apply mesh smooth. This, as I said, you can select from here and you can select from here. You can also select here, object, and go to the mesh tool and mesh smooth. So we have lots of methods. Number 2 is enough. Again, I'm gonna go to object, mesh tools, mesh smooth. Number 2. So this is what we achieved. I just need to fix this area to look like what is here. I'm going to just fix that one. I'm going to remove this one. I'm going to go to vertex mode. All these shapes needs to move down. No, that's fine. Just this one. Let's try mesh smooth. It's almost fine. So let's add this one more. mesh smooth. Number 2. Almost fine. Just it's too thick here at this point. I don't think that should be. Like this. That should be fine. Just this section need to go up. Like this. It goes up. This one goes in. Now let's try mesh smooth one more time. I guess that's better than what it was. Just move this so it looks like. Now we need to make the bars.